What exactly happened on that fateful flight is and will likely always remain a mystery, but in recent years there has been at least a vague outline of events constructed.
YouTube's darkest 5 channels.
Where the sun shines all day.
Darkest channels 5.
I heard about 15 to 20 gunshots.
Y'all just started?
I don't give
Merry
up.
Christmas to y'all, you know what I'm saying?
That is not that channel.
And now, our feature presentation.
Hi everyone, this is a YouTube video that I made as a community service.
Flight. For some of us, it's a luxury, a quick and easy way from point A to point B, while for others, it's an anxiety inducer, a mortal fear even.
Y'all be scared on airplanes? Mason was good.
But for 53-year-old Zahari Ahmad Shah, flying was simply his life. His passion started at the age of just 20, when Zahari would begin studying and training to become a pilot, until eventually becoming a full-time captain years down the line. He went on to log over 18,000 hours of flight time, without receiving so much as a single blemish on his record. As a pilot, his skills and work ethic were impeccable, earning him great respect among his peers. While outside of work, he was really just a normal guy. He had a flourishing family with a wife and 3 children, as he spent most of his free time either with them or fishing, cooking, and perusing social media. With
bacon?
one of his favorite or fishing, cooking, and
I want y'all to know,
perusing
I don't know what that is. Bacon, one of the most overrated foods ever.
social media, with one of his favorite sites being YouTube.
Okay.
Not only was Zahari an active user, but he would also post an occasional video or two of himself, of which very little ever stood out.
And this is how it looks like.
As at the time, his channel seemed destined for obscurity. However, it wouldn't turn out this way, as in the end, it would take just a single day for his channel to become one of YouTube's darkest.
Ladies and gentlemen, for your safety, please observe the presentation of safety procedures on the screen at the front.
What the heck? Yo, my man was
April
grinding.
27th, 2010, Zahari's channel is launched, at first
2010?
being primarily used to listen to music, as well as watching the latest viral video that the site had to offer. And it wasn't until the start of 2013 that he would begin uploading videos of his own. And when I previously mentioned that very little stood out in these videos, that may have actually been an understatement, since they all came across as almost painfully normal. His first upload was the first of a 2-part instructional video on how to save money on your air conditioning, and in it we see his wife occasionally jump in to help Zahari as he shares his tips on reducing the cost of electricity bills.
Now you need to push the
Okay,
blue line
W
off
hacker.
the air. So she's gonna do it for 1 second.
The 2 videos were certainly informative, but visually there isn't much to unpack here, with the exception of one detail. As behind Zahari was what appeared to be a massive flight simulator right within his home.
Fix the leakage or fix any problem that is in the system.
Malachi was good.
It was a device that Zahari had put together himself and used both for fun and to hone his skills. And considering his line of work and what we know about him, this wasn't all that surprising, as he not only took his job very seriously, but he also just genuinely loved to fly. From there, Zahari would go on to publish 5 other videos following this same formula. Low-quality tutorials like how to properly seal your windows,
And it's very effective.
and how to clean your air conditioning unit.
Lift up the bottom part.
None of which ever really had a chance of making him rich or famous, but that was never the point. As for Zahari, this channel really only served as a way to help others, going out of his way to make useful videos for those who could really benefit from them, and he did so only out of the goodness of his heart, as he received nothing in return. And to those who knew Zahari—
What? Yo, he should have monetized his channel back then. They was giving out the bag. Back in those days.
At the time, this was exactly the kind of man he was. A good and honest person, always wanting to provide others with a helping hand.
Breaking news tonight.
But that was then. And today, Zahari is viewed much, much differently.
What could
with
he
it all
have
going
done?
back to one day. A day in which Zahari's life and the world itself
Was changed
would
forever.
forever be changed.
I will now brief you on the safety procedures to be observed on this airplane.
Yo, this is dark.
March 8th, 2014. Captain Zahari clocks in for duty at the Kuala Lumpur International Airport, with his first flight being a roughly 6-hour trip to Beijing International Airport. In the cockpit alongside him would be 27-year-old Farik Abdul Hamid, a first officer partaking in his final training flight before facing examination to become an official captain. Together, the pair was well-versed and well-equipped, as Zahari himself had made this trip countless times before. And by 12:42 a.m., the massive Boeing 777, its 12 crew members, and 227 passengers would take to the sky en route to yet another routine trip to Beijing. Little did the passengers know at the time, but from the moment
Ashley
that
was
flight
good.
left the ground, their fate was forever sealed, as they now had a front row seat to one of the most shocking aviation events in human history.
Breaking news tonight, a Malaysia Airlines flight with
No! Nah, he wasn't. Nah. Listen, if you know, you know. There's no
239
way.
people on board, including 4 Americans, has gone missing. At this hour, a desperate search is underway for MH Flight 370.
That day, Malaysia Flight 370 would lose radar signal not even an hour into its course, and essentially vanish into thin air, with its final destination still
There's
being
no
unknown
way.
to this day. And right at the very center of this mysterious event was its captain, Zahari Shah. What exactly happened on that fateful flight is and will likely
Bro,
always
this is
remain a
manifest.
mystery. But in recent years, there has been at least a vague outline of events constructed that seem to point to one disturbing conclusion.
It
At
crashed.
approximately 1:19 a.m., Captain Zahari would make contact with air traffic controllers as his plane was leaving Malaysian airspace and heading into Vietnamese airspace.
Okay.
Malaysian 370, contact Ho Chi Minh 120.9. Good night. Good night, Malaysian 370.
Though from there, Zahari would never contact the team in Vietnam, and instead, the transponder within the plane that essentially acts as a tracking device for officials on the ground
off?
would be manually turned off just 2 minutes after Zahari's final message.
No. He manually turned it. Get that man out of here. I mean, he is out of there, but pack that boy up.
With this, the plane had essentially become invisible to the world below, with the exception of a far less reliable tracker built within the plane that couldn't be manually shut down. The device works by sending out a ping with the plane's coordinates once every hour, which, when analyzed,
Why do they even have a manual shut-off button for the tracker inside the plane anyway? Like, what's the purpose?
showed investigators that rather than heading towards Beijing,
We're gonna
the
watch
plane had
coordinates.
instead done a complete 180 immediately following Zahari's final transmission, and was actually heading in the direction of Australia before the signal was lost for good somewhere over the Indian Ocean. This information would only grow more concerning, as in 2015, small pieces of the craft began washing ashore in various locations,
I didn't
some
know
of
that.
which showing damage consistent with a plane that had struck water at high speeds. Taking all this into consideration, it does seem likely that the plane had ultimately crashed into the Indian Ocean, with the larger parts of the craft likely having sunk to the bottom around the location of that final ping.
With deep sadness that I must inform you, flight MH370 ended in the southern Indian Ocean.
And with the depths in that area reaching over 3 miles deep, it's very likely that these parts may never be found. But though
That
this
is
seems like a
insane.
logical conclusion, this theory fails to provide an explanation as to how the plane got so far off course. as no navigational or electrical failure could have ever accounted for the bizarre movement of the flight, which is where Captain Zaharie comes into play. For starters, that transponder was turned off immediately after he had given that final message, which was then followed by the plane turning 180 degrees and heading in the complete opposite direction, ultimately to its demise. Both of these actions are extremely noteworthy, as they were not only undoubtedly deliberate, but they also could have only been done from inside the cockpit, a place in which only Zaharie and Farik had access to, immediately making the two pilots the primary suspects, with Zaharie quickly emerging as suspect number 1. According to those close to Zaharie, his mental health had seemingly been on the decline for months, and potentially even years leading up to the event, and according to his own daughter, her father had become quote-unquote unrecognizable, with others adding that he was in no mental shape to be flying.
Okay. Y'all don't want to tell his job, like, yo, y'all might want to fire young bull. You know what I'm saying? He's not well. Y'all don't need this on your company's, you know what I'm saying, reputation. Pack this man up.
Along with this, Zaharie had seemingly been having struggles with his marriage, as he had been caught on numerous occasions flirting with other women over social media, causing a rift that you would never sense by watching his videos.
And Nur Hayati here, my helper.
And on the subject of these videos, one of the most damning pieces of evidence used against Zaharie had actually made an appearance in his very first upload.
Okay.
Upon investigators searching Zaharie's home for clues, they would analyze the flight simulator seen in the background of this video, where they discovered a disturbing clue. Within the data of the flight simulator, it was found that Zaharie had charted a course and practiced flying a route that matched nearly identically to the one Flight 370.
This is insane. All right, bro, listen, it's crazy hearing these stories. And you're like, yo, how did this happen? People make their theories. Did it disappear? They got shows like freaking Manifest. I don't know if that was the Malaysian flight. But like, all because one dude wanted, boy, ain't no way,
was said to have taken that fateful day. And given just how obscure that route was,
he planned all of this with probably like 200 people on board. Because
investigators believed that this couldn't have been a coincidence, as to make matters even stranger, Zaharie had actually tried to scrub the data from the device just 1 month before that fateful flight.
Some data has been deleted from the simulator, and forensic work to retrieve this data is ongoing.
Taking all of this into consideration, the narrative was quickly formed that Captain Zaharie had premeditated this entire disaster as some sort of murder-suicide mission.
Yeah, they can't release this to the public, especially America, you know what I'm saying? People gonna stop booking flights. That's probably why they covered it up. They put the blanket over that and was like, listen, never to return back to this topic again.
This now becoming the most widely believed and currently most likely theory to explain the mystery of Flight 370. Though it is important to remember that this is just that, a theory, and it is in no way a concrete conclusion.
There's no way you're about to tell me, okay, you're gonna look me in my eye and say, this is a theory, when my man was flying the exact course on his flight simulator at home. There's no way. Nope.
However, if this were to be true, that would make Zaharie Ahmad Shah the most prolific killer in YouTube's history by a huge margin, as he would have been responsible for the deaths of over 238 people, with his channel potentially featuring the very device that this whole event was plotted on.
Thank you for your attention. Do enjoy our golden service.
Do you want to hear something truly horrifying? 2 out of 3 men will experience some form of hair loss by the
chat. Don't even do it. I'm telling you, we gonna skip the ad. Link in his bio. Keep the jokes to yourself. PK was good.
About America. America is a pretty amazing place.
October 2nd, 2010. A bizarre 7-minute video titled "America, Your Last Memory in a Terrorist Country" is posted to YouTube, depicting a masked man in a robe setting fire to the American flag. The video is accompanied by a rambling description stating, "I want you to imagine a comet or meteoroid coming through the atmosphere. On the other hand, welcome..."
Alright, listen, let me ban some people in the chat real quick, because people obviously think this is funny, okay? Goodbye. Hey, look, I'm gonna see y'all later.
yourself to the desert. Maybe your ability to protest is from the
good.
brainwashing of the current government structure. This incoherent writing and strange video would be the only content featured on a channel called Star Hitchnaz, but it would be far from the only upload that its creator would make to the
700K is
platform
crazy.
in general. The man's real name is Jared Lautner, and over the course of 2010, he would use YouTube as a way of critiquing society in the United States, with most, if not all of his videos coming across as extremely disjointed and showing clear indications that Jared himself was completely delusional. However, he wasn't always this way, as growing up, he lived a fairly
man's the
normal
Riddler
life
for
in
real.
Tucson, Arizona, becoming a decent student and even a talented musician. And it wasn't until high school that things would really take a turn for the worst, when his then girlfriend, a young lady named Kelsey Hawkins, would unexpectedly end their relationship. Something
Bro,
that
it's always
Jared
when a girl
would
break up
never
with the
recover
dude.
from. As immediately following this, he would fall into a deep depression before eventually turning to drugs and alcohol.
Could never be me, bruh. Could never be me. I'm not going outside. It's not happening.
To cope.
He was on his
With
sneakos.
this, his once kind and caring personality would become bitter and defiant as he began lashing out against his teachers and bosses, something that first led to Jared losing his job at Quiznos and his position at a local animal shelter, with this trend continuing on into 2006, when Jared would leave high school and never return, instead becoming a social recluse within his parents' home.
Because of a girl? Oh man, y'all gotta chill, bro. There's too many people outside, man. Way too many.
There, Jared's only interaction with the outside world would come in the form of conspiracy forums and blogs,
Reddit.
as Jared not only became more and more detached from the world around him, but he also became more and more angry at it as well, with a specific hatred developing for the government. An idea that was only amplified on the date of August 25th, 2007.
And today, a chance to bring those kinds of concerns straight to Representative Gabrielle Giffords as she brought Congress to the corner of Grant and Craycroft.
That day, Jared would attend an event in the Tucson area held by the then Arizona Senator Gabrielle Giffords, where local citizens could ask questions or raise concerns directly to the senator herself. And on that day, Jared would be given a chance to speak briefly with her, which he'd take advantage of by asking the question, "What is government if words have no meaning?" It's unknown exactly how Senator Giffords responded to this, but according to Jared, he felt as though she had brushed aside his question and essentially ignored it altogether by moving right on to the next person, clearly not taking Jared seriously, which was said to have infuriated him, as his hatred for the government that had been brewing for some time had become even more justified in his mind, and things were about to get much worse. As after the event, Jared would receive a letter from Senator Giffords' team thanking him for attending the function, only to have his last name misspelled on the document.
Oh, he's about
For
to lose it.
Jared, the whole ordeal with this senator was too much for him to bear, as he believed that the government was run by incompetent and illiterate people who were nowhere near his intelligence level, with the misspelled name becoming a fixation of his, as he slowly began to believe that he was the only literate person left throughout the world. With this going on to inspire the
Chat, this is why I want y'all to know, you gotta find a community of people, okay? Whether it be online, if that's what you got, use it, okay? Until you can get some people in real life that you could, you know what I'm saying, touch them. You know, not like that, but go talk to some people, man, all right? Because the more you spend by yourself, you will be sucked into a hole. All right, okay, let's just continue to vid.
content
All I'm saying is you got to talk to people, bro. There are people out there like you just gotta find them.
Create here on YouTube. The video created by Jared showing him burning an American flag features a pretty self-explanatory message on how he felt about America as a whole. But this clip was far from his most scathing upload, with that having come just a few weeks prior.
I'm in a terrible place. This is my genocide school.
At the time,
You're what?
I'm in a terrible place. This is my genocide school.
At the time, Jared had been attending Pima Community College, a school featuring a program designed to help high school dropouts get their lives back on track and eventually actually obtain a college degree, which in theory sounded like a great thing for Jared, though in reality, its results only proved to sink him further. During his time at Pima, police would be called to his classes on 5 separate occasions when Jared would protest, argue with, and defy his teachers, as he had major problems with any and all authority figures in his life. After all, he believed that he was by far the most intelligent person on the planet, and feeling wronged and frustrated with his schooling, his feelings would all spill out in one video posted to a now deleted channel, showing Jared behind the camera touring his campus.
This is Pima Community College. The students are so illiterate that it affects their daily lives. They're controlling the grammar. They control the grammar. How's it going? Thanks for the B. I'm pissed off. What's that? I lost my freedom of speech to that guy. All the teachers that you have are
He lost it to him. What does he mean by that?
And have a legal authority over the Constitution of the United States under the First Amendment.
It's not hard to understand the concern behind this video, as Jared was clearly mentally ill at the time.
If the student is unable to locate the external universe, then the student is unable to locate the internal universe. Where is all my subjects? I could say something sound right now, but I don't feel like it.
Alright, let me tell you about Buddy right here. Buddy is definitely on them Super Marios. Alright? He done took a couple too many Super Mario power-ups, and his brain is broken. Okay? Now, if you don't know what that means, don't ask too many questions. You haven't got that far in life. If you have got that far in life, you know what I'm talking about, okay?
And filled with so much obvious anger that could be heard seeping out of his voice. And given that no one really knew what he was capable of doing, the video would quickly be sent to school administrators, who immediately perceived it to be a threat. This led to Jared's instant removal from the school, with the option being given for him to return again if he were to receive psychiatric help. This, however, never happened. And instead, Jared would only isolate himself even further, with his internal rage reaching an all-time high, and his delusions as well, all of which would be documented on his final channel called Class It Up 10. The videos here are some of the most bizarre that you'll ever see, as they feature only text writings from Jared, who discusses his problems with society, as well as his ways to fix it.
Your new currency. You're gonna create a new currency, for example, name font, name back, creating a new coin. That's my control.
In his first upload, he tells his audience that he was creating a new currency, a new letter to be added to the alphabet, and even a new number, which he believed would reject the government's authority and give him some control of the currency, the numbers, and the language of society. And his postings wouldn't stop there. He wrote about how he believed he could control every belief and every religion by being a quote-unquote mind controller, of which he offered no other context for.
See, people like Jared, they need somebody to challenge them, but understand them at the same time. You have to make them, sometimes you got to talk to people in a way that like, okay, I see what you're saying, but what about this? Okay, I feel why you think that, but what about this, right? That once you can have them, you can draw people off the ledge, you know what I'm saying, of I don't even know what to call this, you know what I'm saying?
By this point, his words were almost impossible to fully understand, leading to his final video, in which he stated, "My ambition is for informing illiterate dreamers about a new currency. In a few days, you'll know I'm concise dreaming. Thank you." These were the final words written to the Class It Up 10 YouTube channel, and the final trace of Jared left behind on YouTube, as in his mind, he was now in control of society, and all that was left to do was show the world.
In a democracy, people have the power. And in America, that means you.
In the early morning hours of January 8th, 2011, Jared checked into a motel room where he would post a photo to his MySpace page of a gun on top of a US textbook, along with a series of other lewd photographs of him in women's underwear, featuring the message, "Dear friends, please don't be mad at me. The literacy rate is below 5%. I haven't talked to one person who is literate."
Okay, Jared, you're wilding. Alright? You're wilding. All it took was a simple below 5. How did you come up with that number? Alright? How did you come up with it? Where did you get it from? That's it. There's no way you can come up with 5%. There's no way.
After this, Jared would go on to attend another political event happening within the parking lot of a nearby Safeway store, with this event being that same one that he had went to years before, with it being hosted by none other than Senator Gabby Giffords, the villain in his story, and soon to be the main target of his rage. It happened in just 15 seconds. As the senator was meeting citizens one by one, Jared would promptly cut the line, pull out his pistol, and open fire at point-blank range. His first shot would strike Gabby Giffords directly in the forehead, before he turned the gun on the crowd of innocent bystanders and fired at random. In total, 13 people would be struck, before Jared was tackled to the ground and restrained, and of those victims, tragically, 6 would lose their lives, quite literally in the matter of a few seconds. A short yet devastating rampage.
No, what happened?
But shockingly, Gabby Giffords would not be one of these 6 victims.
Like, I want to clap and say, like, she made it, but other people still lost their life, so I don't want to, you know what I'm saying, but...
to lose their lives, as despite being shot directly through the head, she would eventually go on to survive the ordeal and has since gone on to make an incredible recovery.
That's what's up.
Jared's multiple channels remain live and now sit dormant, in a state that will likely never be changed, as he is destined to live out the remainder of his life in prison, with those final videos serving as a brief glimpse into the mind of one of the most disturbed killers in the United States' recent history. A troubled man who, much like our next YouTuber, had their final thoughts and final delusions captured right here on YouTube. Only in the case of the Indigo Mystic, her disturbing conclusion would play out right on her channel for the whole world to see.
Hold up, did they say what happened to Jared? Oh, sentence. So he survived, all right? And if you know why I'm asking, okay? We're not gonna get into all that. But yo, Netflix, get on it, bro. We need to know.
On her channel
we need
for the whole world to see.
Had always been the perfect mother, but you'll have a hard time keeping this mother down.
Hello, everybody. It's the Indigo Mystic. Toodaloo.
Her name is Jessica Worsham, a 43-year-old mother of 2 living in Houston, Georgia. From an early age, Jessica viewed herself as different from most others in the world, believing that she possessed psychic abilities that not many could comprehend, which was ultimately the inspiration behind her YouTube channel, The Indigo Mystic, a page that aimed to open a dialogue with others like her. And from its inception back in April of 2013, her content was apparently very lighthearted, and for the most part, almost entirely positive. A trend that has long since ended. For years, Jessica had been living as an unemployed single mother with her 2 children, and given her lack of income, she struggled to find permanent residency for her family. Or at least that was until the year 2019, when family friends would allow them to live rent-free in a home they were selling. They allowed Jessica and the kids to stay in the vacant home until someone would buy the property, which ultimately would wind up taking nearly 3 whole years, meaning that all that time time, Jessica and
she could have been working stacking her bread, all right? I mean, she was YouTubing. I can't hate.
her children were able to live there without paying a single dime. The situation really should have been a dream come true for Jessica. Yet, when those 3 years were up, her reaction was far from grateful, as she immediately fought the decision to remove her from the home and refused to leave the premises, eventually going so far as to take these generous friends all the way to court, where unsurprisingly she would lose the case and subsequently be forced to leave the home.
Duh.
This situation was said to be the ultimate tipping point for Jessica's mental health, as she believed that this was all an elaborate plot against her to ruin her life, blaming the courts and the judge specifically for making her homeless.
You used to be a good person, didn't you?
You were unemployed, my lady, all right? You got a free place to live for 3 years, you ain't stacked no bread. You shut your mouth.
You Benji. You did. You used to actually have the desire for justice. God knows about you. That's why you're scared. And you know who I am, don't you? All your little friends and buddies know exactly who I am and what I'm about. Well, since this is just for Benjamin Green, kiss my ass.
Following this, the Indigo Mystic
Where's
channel
her
would
kids?
no longer be a hub for positivity or spirituality, as Jessica would instead delete all of the channel's content, and in turn, she began obsessively uploading about the people who she believed had wronged her.
So, you want to attack me, huh? That's fine. Just get ready. And when I said karma was coming for you, I meant it.
And from that moment on, Jessica's videos would only grow more and more scathing, as little did she know, but there was yet another court battle looming in the distance. Following the initial court's ruling, Jessica and her children would begin couch surfing from place to place, living in a constant state of packing and moving, as due to the stress of the situation and her declining mental health, Jessica would begin picking fights and
See, now this is where I have to... Now, listen, Jessica, I'm not even going to say it.
blowing up and those who were kind enough to take them in for free,
Hey,
something
man.
that would be documented on numerous occasions.
All I'm saying is maybe YouTube wasn't the most profitable option, all right? I don't know if that option was available for you, but you could have got the bag, all right? That's all I'm saying.
Occasions across the Indigo Mystic channel.
You don't want none of me, I promise. Oh, yeah, I do. Fantastic! He's coming over. That's what? Well, then what am I doing? Get the fuck out of my face! She hit me first. Stop it. Get the fuck out of here! I'm just trying to get scared.
But of these combative instances, what stood out the most was just how involved the children were, as at that time
They're
she had
recording
trained
for her?
them to record all of her arguments so that she can then upload them to YouTube and
She is sick. She's sick.
act as if she were the victim. But in reality, it's not hard to see that the real victims were the children themselves.
True. And she was uploading this?
I mean, the pain in their voice and the fear they clearly had, knowing that they were being kicked out of yet another home, is heartbreaking, with this truly being how these kids lived on a daily basis. And others were starting to take notice. Seeing how the children were being treated and what they were living through, their biological father, a man named Sean, would attempt to gain custody to provide the children with a stable living environment, as he, along with many others, believed that Jessica wasn't fit to be caring for children at the time. This wasn't only due to the instability of her housing and her seemingly aggressive behavior, but Jessica herself had clearly become mentally unwell
Bobby was
at
good.
best, and at worst, she had become completely delusional, as she would begin posting videos claiming that she was being gang stalked.
All the stalking, all the gang stalking by my family and by these certain police factions needs to stop. I'm aware of you, honey. Don't you see me packing every time I go outside? And the more you come for me, the worse it's gonna be for you.
Along with this, she would also claim to have put hexes on the judges.
You're in regret, right? Scared? Can't sleep at night? Up all night. Maybe having ulcers. Yeah. That's right. If you only knew who I was. Hope those dreams are making you feel good. You're gonna regret ever getting yourself involved.
Now, I know y'all think this is crazy, all right? But listen, I know people like this in real life. Like, literally, their head lives in different dimensions. It's crazy. Like, you'll talk to them, then you'll see them talk about other things, or you'll see them portray on the internet something, and you're like, yo, what fantasy land are you living in? You just gotta back away, let them be them, you know what I'm saying, and keep it moving.
And her delusions would only get more and more bizarre, as at one point she even called out the judges for attempting to telepathically communicate with her, even accusing them of performing child sacrifices behind closed doors.
I know you watching me, and I know you're scared, and you should be. Dingledorf, he's too scared. He's too scared to even try to communicate with me telepathically, but you're scared, aren't you, Benji?
Bro, look, this is, nah, son. We're not even gonna talk about it. I might tell the story times on the podcast or something, but.
What about the children? And you know what I mean. Those that you've sacrificed for your glory. Because it's really hilarious, and it's gonna be even more hilarious when my plan falls into place.
By this point, Jessica was completely detached from reality, and it seemed clear that she was neglecting the needs of her children, which would all come to a head on September 14th, 2021. That day, Jessica had been summoned into court for a hearing to determine the custody of her two children, something that she would discuss briefly in a video posted just hours before her arrival.
I'm actually going to court today against some people that are trying to take my children from me.
Some people?
The same people that took my home from me. the Jackson County court system. I really do feel more sorry for them and what's going to happen to them than me and my children, because my children aren't going anywhere. Anyway, if you don't see a video pop up in the next couple days, I probably got arrested, because I'm not going to back down.
And upon arriving at court that day, Jessica would have her children film yet another one of her arguments, as she would refuse to enter the courtroom.
My name is the Indigo Mystic. Oh, I'm sorry, Jessica Worsham. You guys have already taken our home from us, and you denied us help.
Hold up. Hold on, all right? They took your home from you? Is that what you're saying? You had three years to stack your paper, okay? And you ain't have a dime. Then you couch surfed. Man, if you don't give that kid to their dad, man, come on, what are we doing?
When we were being attacked several times, they refused to go inside. So if you could just relay that information for me, I would greatly appreciate it. We stand in solidarity as sovereign individuals.
Look at them toes, though.
This injustice. I don't know where the justice in this world went in this country, but it is not here, fellas and ladies. Not here. I'm not going to have my children taken from me.
The situation ultimately only proved to the judge just how bad things were in Jessica's mind, as the hearing would
get off the ground. What is she doing?
Ultimately take place without her present, thus resulting in Jessica losing custody of her children, though only temporarily, as it was explained that once Jessica had found permanent residency and got help for her mental health issues, then she would be allowed to have her children back, and that this was only being done to keep the children safe. Though Jessica didn't see it this way, and under no circumstances would she be willing to give up her children, as she instead decided to take matters into her own hands. And immediately following the court's decision, Jessica Worsham and her two children would disappear.
Oh, no.
Well, not totally. Jessica did defy the court's decision, as she would take her children and go on the run, refusing to give them up. But even though most would assume that she would lay low for a while to avoid detection, in reality, Jessica would do just about the exact opposite, as she began posting more and more videos to her channel, this time outright threatening the judges whom she blamed this whole situation on, and daring them to take her children away from her.
They're mine. Mine. M-I-N-E, mine.
She sounds like Wanda in Multiverse of Madness. True.
And I'll do anything, including lay my life down for them. And if you come after me, I'm just telling you right now, it ain't gonna go down pretty. No kinds of pretty is gonna come out of anything. And that's not a threat, that's a promise.
And her hatred wasn't just amplified towards the court officials, as she would also launch a whole new tirade against Sean, the father of her children.
You'll never have our love again. You'll never, ever see them again.
He was definitely her first. You know what I'm saying? Look, had to be, got her pregnant. Listen, girls, not by experience. I've heard through the grapevine, all right? But if they act like this, they got that splat.
They hate you.
With Jessica sinking to lower and lower depths to get back at him, with one of the most disturbing examples being when she had her children call him and tell them just how much they hated him and never wanted to see him again.
Isabella, do you want to be with Sean?
No.
Do you love him?
No.
Well, how do you feel about him?
I'm disgusted.
Hi, Sean. My daughter's trying to talk. How do you feel about him?
I think you're disgusting, and that's my opinion. That's my opinion and not hers. So
she had to tell the kid to say that.
We're disgusted. We hate you.
This is what you've done to your family.
We really hate you. So why don't you just shut the hell up?
The whole time her children are talking, Jessica continues egging them on to say worse and worse things. And though obviously I can't speak on their relationship with their father, this is still an incredibly toxic and traumatic thing to have your children do. And things were just getting started on the Indigo Mystic channel, as she had started to mention the fact that she had owned a gun, in which she nicknamed Betty.
I was in there buying some ammo, some critical defense bullets for Betty. You know, because we gotta treat her right, you know.
Which would eventually lead to this clip.
Just for any of y'all that might want to get wild, you know, this is Betty.
Thank you, Nick. Blurring that out for the boys.
All right?
Yes,
Get a
sir.
good look. Any of y'all that think y'all might want to come at me, I got something waiting for you.
Things were clearly escalating, and were undoubtedly soon to reach their breaking points, which leads us to November 3rd, 2021, when two of the most chaotic, bizarre, and disturbing videos I have ever seen were posted to the Indigo Mystic channel.
Hold your phone on their faces. I am. On their faces.
You need to get out of this house. You need to get out of this house.
Who are they holding down,
Call the
though?
cops and get you out of this house.
At this time, Jessica had yet again been living with another family, and that night, two members of that family had gotten into a verbal and physical dispute, leading to an older gentleman being pushed on the ground. But as the family was fighting, Jessica decided to interject, only escalating the situation even more, as she began screaming at the family before they all lost their patience and demanded she leave the house, with the younger man going as far as to call the police. And in a panic, the children ran upstairs in fear that they had yet again lost another home. Meanwhile, Jessica had remained downstairs as she continued to argue with the family as they waited for the cops to arrive. And when they did, Jessica would be standing at the door to greet them, with Betty in her hand. Noticing the commotion, the children would do as they were trained and grab the camera.
The following clip may be too disturbing for some viewers. If you don't want to watch the clip, please skip to 3750. That means this VOD is getting deleted tonight, no cap. Joe, thank you for the rage, you know what I'm saying? Let's get it. Kaden, what's good? All right, look, I got my finger on the skip button. Oh! Hold on. Listen. Hey, YouTube. This is on your platform, okay? If I can't live stream it, I don't know why it's there. Okay? This video is not age restricted. So I got the clip on my hard drive, okay? YouTube. So when I appeal this, when y'all try to take me off the platform, I just want y'all to know, okay? Let's be civilized here. Oh, he cut it. Good job. Good job.
The children record just out of view as Jessica suddenly begins firing, leading to an all-out shootout with over a dozen shots ringing out, each of which being painfully captured as her children record helplessly, with the remainder of the video showing their reaction, which is
that was the toaster. That was the toaster. Hey, she obviously put bread in the toaster and it popped up. Come on now, what you? Hey, you chill. You chill.
just too upsetting for me to show. When it was all said and done, Jessica had fatally wounded 49-year-old Deputy Lena Marshall.
Okay, first of all, what was his name? Greg? The one who got away? He lived, okay? Now, this is the second person letting the swammy off against the, you know what I'm saying? So, let's see how this one ended up.
A mother of 3 who tragically passed on the 18th anniversary of the death of her own son, while on the other side, Jessica Warsham laid dead in the doorway. Since the fatal incident, the Indigo Mystic channel still remains live, though as a shell of itself, as all of its uploads have now been wiped from the site, almost as if nothing ever happened. When in reality, this channel had perhaps one of the most disturbing life cycles ever seen on YouTube, with its final video being one of the darkest to ever be uploaded.
That's crazy.
As right after the shooting, and before they even knew the fate of their mother, the children would post the video with the misspelled title reading, "My mom is dead, I think," before days later, the whole channel would be wiped. I want to give a huge shout out to my gold tier patrons.
Yo, listen. Nick done put his foot in this one, all right? We gonna, hey, this is YouTube's Darkest Channels 5. We got to start from 1, then do the whole series. Because this is crap. Bro, I didn't know stuff like this existed on YouTube. But you go digging into the YouTube history back in the day, you know what I'm saying, when it was low-key the Wild Wild West, right? And you gonna find things. Now, I feel bad for Jessica, because Jessica looked like she had that, you know what I'm saying, that let's stop talking about that. But, only if she found another way to make money or another website. Hey, listen, y'all let me know how y'all feel about this. The Malaysian flight thing, my mind is blown. All right. Never even knew, but shout out to Nick. Now we know. Okay.